From St. Joseph, Missouri, here is Travis Lee Hartman.
It's not gonna be perfectly centered no matter what. That's fine.
That's right. I just want to be able to see it. Your arm's like blocking it, so whatever. Ooh. Welcome to the gun show. Welcome to the BB show. I got little pellet guns.
And welcome to the next episode of Weighing In with Travis Hartman. Happy to see you.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers to you. I'm B Money, the producer. That over there is Weekend Trav. I need to turn me down. I'm a little on the high on the gain here. We got a new setup right now. We're trying some stuff out. So the mics, we're working on it. The table, I love this table.
This is your table, huh?
I like this table.
This right up your alley.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know what all's in the alley, but it's up there somewhere. So
that's what she said.
Okay. That there is Weekend Travis Hartman. I am B Money, the producer. Thanks for joining us. For those that are subscribing, you guys, we love you. And if you're not subscribing, we don't love you yet. So subscribe. Hit the bell icon, the notification, all the good stuff that all the kids are doing. Go ahead and follow our content because we keep putting content out there. We got the vlogs. We got the fight predictions. We got this. We have the In This Corner, the interviews we put up. So we do a lot of stuff, mainly on the YouTube channel. But obviously, if you're hearing this on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, then we also have the audio version of the podcast hitting the airwaves. So we are there. Let me finish the commercial. Let's say thanks to our media partners, TH Boxing, Gulfstream Financial, and IF Enterprises. As always, for your media support, thank you so much. So, Weekend Trav, cheers to you, my friend. As always,
cheers, brother.
Good to see you. Pleasure being here. And let's just kind of jump in to the crapshoot, if you will, of our podcast, episode 31.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now, though. Boxing world. Manny Pacquiao, Ryan Garcia. I know everybody's heard about this.
And we talked about it last week.
Yeah, and he's been on the Mike Tyson podcast talking about this. Ryan Garcia has. So it's a whirlwind. I mean, at first, I've been fighting so many people on Facebook and text messaging. They're text messaging me like, Travis, what's going on with this? Is this fight happening? Ryan Garcia announced that this fight was happening. He announced it was going to happen, and it was going to be for real, all of that stuff. And then the next thing I know, a couple weeks ago, I start hearing rumblings that it's going to be an exhibition. But yet, I never heard that. This is where, I don't know where these people are getting this information because Ryan Garcia announced it, put it on his page. It's on his Instagram page. Go check it out. He announced it. He's going to fight Manny Pacquiao. So, I believe him. And Manny Pacquiao hasn't made an announcement yet. But then I hear these rumblings that it's going to be an exhibition. I have no idea where these rumblings came from, but people were floating that idea around. So I'm trying to argue with people. Not even argue, I'm asking questions. I'm where did you guys hear this? Who knows? Even Ellie on a video,
yep.
He was talking to Robert Garcia, who has no relation to Ryan Garcia, but Robert Garcia said he heard it was an exhibition. And I'm like, where did you hear this? So finally, a couple of days ago, Ryan Garcia did an Instagram Live, and ESPN reposted it and everything. And Ryan Garcia said, this is not an exhibition. This is happening. This is a real fight. And then yesterday or 2 days ago, Golden Boy comes out and says, fight's not happening. The negotiations are over, blah, blah, blah. But then I also read Ryan Garcia's manager said, no. We're still talking with Pacquiao's team because Manny says he wants the fight to happen. Ryan Garcia says he wants the fight to happen. So I'm not sure if Golden Boy is trying to negotiate or some kind of a negotiation ploy by saying all of this stuff. But to me, it feels real, and it feels like Garcia really does want to fight Pacquiao. And I think Pacquiao, now that he's not going to fight Conor McGregor, this is a big fight. It really is a big fight. And to be fair, this is a fight that Manny Pacquiao could possibly win. So everybody's talking about Manny Pacquiao fighting either Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. I don't like that fight for Manny Pacquiao because I think he gets beat and he might get hurt. So I don't want him to fight those two guys. So the next best option, in my opinion, is a Ryan Garcia because Ryan Garcia is a couple weight classes lower. The kid's 22 years old. He's young. So Manny obviously has experience over him. And I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think it's a very good fight. I think it's a fight Manny Pacquiao can actually win. And it's a fight where he can make a lot of money. I think he'll make more money fighting Ryan Garcia than he would if he fights Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. That's why I think this fight will happen. People keep saying that the fight's not going to happen. I think the fight's going to happen. I'm going to go on record. I still think the fight's actually going to happen.
Yeah, so obviously a lot has kind of changed with regard to our tune, because last week that was primarily what we talked about was this potential. Well, actually at the time we weren't talking potential.
Yeah,
he
announced
fight.
it, yeah.
So this is, and we talked pre-production about this. Here's who's oddly quiet during this whole melee of sorts. Manny Pacquiao.
Yep.
He has not, as far as I'm aware, not said a peep.
No, you're right. You're correct.
About the fight. It could, maybe his management or somebody in his campus said something.
Sean Gibbons, who does takes care of his stuff. Sean Gibbons has been talking quite a bit about it. He's been tagging Ryan Garcia. You know what? I think I'm just figuring this out actually. If you follow Sean Gibbons on Instagram, he's been going in on Robert Garcia. Roberto Diaz. You met Roberto Diaz, Golden Boy guy.
Yeah.
So Sean Gibbons has been going in on him, posting this stuff. I guess Roberto Diaz blocked Sean Gibbons on Twitter. So maybe that's what's going on. There's some jockeying going back and forth, and I think there's some bad blood there. So Manny Pacquiao's manager has been going at it with Roberto Diaz, which is Golden Boy guy. So maybe there's just some bad blood right now, and they're just, I don't know, out of spite. Golden Boy's like, fights off. We're not negotiating. But I think Ryan Garcia has had his feuds with Oscar. So I think if Ryan Garcia wants this fight to happen, which he does, I think it happens. And I think Pacquiao wants it to happen because Sean Gibbons is posting about it all over Instagram. He wants it to happen as well. And both fighters want it to happen. So both of those guys, even though they have promoters, I think Ryan Garcia is actually to the popularity point now where he can kind of call the shots.
Yeah, but once again, I think we're assuming Manny Pacquiao wants this fight to happen.
True. This is just from Sean Gibbons' mouth.
Right.
So, and he speaks for Pacquiao, and Pacquiao's actually, in his whole entire career, you actually never hear Pacquiao negotiate, ever.
That's true.
Even when he fought Mayweather, he didn't say anything.
This is the right time, though, for someone like Ryan Garcia. He needs a strike when the iron's hot. I think I said that last week, whether it's Manny Pacquiao and any of these other names that we tend to talk about.
Tank, Tiafoe, Devin Haney, all of those.
Listen, he's young. He just signed that Gatorade contract, which we knew was coming because he was talking we heard him talking about it while we were in Dallas.
Yep. They were courting him then.
That it became official. I mean, he's the first fighter, I think?
Yeah, first boxer to be signed by Gatorade.
The first boxer to be signed by Gatorade, which is huge.
Wild.
So these things need to happen, and that's why I think he knows how to self-promote. So he's out there saying the stuff he needs to say.
He's got 8.5 million Instagram followers.
Correct. I really hope this thing happens, but once again, Manny Pacquiao has been oddly quiet. I know there's some jockeying for position and negotiation tactics that we use with social media now, which is really stupid. I hate looking at all the random quote from this random guy, and it changes the trajectory of a fight or the potential. So we will see. I really hope it happens. What was the time frame that they were talking initially?
I heard something like around April, something like that, which makes sense because even when they announced it, that's what I felt like it'd be a little bit, because this is a big fight and it would take a lot of promotion, it would take a lot of power really to get this going, because these guys are big time dudes. So it would take a lot of jockeying, a lot of promoting, all of that. And you would see a nice little tour. If this fight happens, you're going to see like a really good press and media tour for this fight, because this easily could be Manny Pacquiao's last fight too. Manny Pacquiao could easily just be like, you know what, this is my last fight. I'm going to retire after this. And he could. And if he makes enough money, I think he probably would, because this is a big fight. And as you know, Manny's a very, very political figure over in the Philippines. I think that the rumblings have been around for a long time. He's making because he's a senator or congressman now.
I don't know what
their
two government's broken out to, but he is. Yeah, he's a political official.
I think it's Senator Pacquiao. So he's making a serious run at the presidency, and I think if that happens, his boxing career's got to be over, because that's a full-time gig. As you know, being a president of a country, even if it's a smaller country, that's a full-time gig.
Well, either way, it's winding down, and he has nothing.
42, gonna be 43 at the end of the year.
He has nothing to prove.
Zero. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and so he's obviously, from a social activism, political activism standpoint, he's already made a name for himself in the Philippines, and I think doesn't he like own the national basketball team, or I don't know.
He's a huge basketball guy too. Yeah.
Crazy stuff. So he has nothing to prove here, but this is a good way to cement his legacy, for sure.
It could, for sure.
But I could also see from his point of view, it's also like, yeah, the money would be nice, the notoriety would be nice, but is it worth it? Do I need to do something?
Yeah, I mean, he really doesn't. But if he was, the only big fights out there, like I said, were Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, and Ryan Garcia. if I could choose any of those three to fight, I'm fighting Garcia.
Sure.
He's much smaller, and even though he's younger, it's a good opportunity for Pacquiao because, like I said, Pacquiao has a legit shot at beating this young guy. In my opinion, if he fights Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford, he loses, hands down. And I love Pacquiao. He loses to Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. In fact, he might get knocked out against those two guys. They hit much harder than Juan Manuel Marquez hits. And the timing of a guy like Terrence Crawford, the guy's timing is impeccable. So I don't see Manny Pacquiao faring well against either one of those guys. Do I see him faring well against Garcia? Can Garcia beat him? Yes. But I like Manny's chances better against a Garcia.
It's so crazy. When you talk about, I feel like we talk about this almost every week, but we should. When you look at all those different guys in this weight class, I know Manny Pacquiao's not, but when you look at all these other guys, it's almost as if everyone's waiting for the first domino. Like, who's the first fight to actually be on paper, signed, and then it's like that's the first domino that falls, and then everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
We as fans are waiting because we can speculate. We could talk about, Tank and Teofimo is good to do this and this.
Devin Haney and
Devin
Teofimo.
Haney and whoever.
I think that's going to happen.
I think it's coming. We could talk all day long about it, but until one fight is put together, then we don't know. It's still just a swirling of several names, and what about if he fought him and he fought him? And
I think everybody's waiting. They're waiting for essentially for this to be signed for Pacquiao. As soon as that gets signed, I promise you will see the Devin Haneys, the Tanks, the Teofimo Lopez's, even the Lomachenkos. I guarantee you they end up signing a fight pretty fast too after this, because what they're doing, they're all waiting because even though those guys are super extremely popular, it's still no secret that Ryan Garcia is the most popular in that division. Mm-hmm. Is he the best? We don't know. I don't think he is, but he's the most popular, which means he brings in the most money out of all of those guys. Even though Teofimo just won the Ring Magazine title, beating Lomachenko and unified the titles, most people don't know him still.
Right.
But does everybody know Ryan Garcia?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ryan Garcia, you're right. If that fight gets made, you're going to see a domino effect, meaning these guys now will kind of stop chasing that and focus on other things in front of them. So I think that if that fight gets signed, we're going to have some other blockbuster fights get signed.
So let's talk about a little bit of the musical chairs component to this. When the music stops after certain fights and the matchmakers have their way, who's left out? Who's left out? Like when you start piecing these things together, who do you think when the music stops in this weight class, who's left out waiting for somebody to win or lose because they can't figure out the right opponent?
Tank.
You think it's Tank?
Gervonta Davis gets left out because I think that negotiations have already started with Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. And the reason I know that is because Teofimo Lopez told Eddie Hearn in the back of behind the scenes in a fight, and somebody got it. I think Ellie might have got it, and he said the dad of Teofimo goes, "We'll fight Devin Haney. Give us $10 million. We'll fight Devin Haney." And Eddie was like, "Really?" He kind of perked up, even though it's a lot of money. He kind of perked up, like, "Really?" And now I actually genuinely think that they're in negotiations right now, Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. So that fight has more of a chance of happening than Tank, either one of those guys, because Tank fights for PBC, which is Floyd Mayweather, Al Heyman, those guys. So those guys don't generally fight for Eddie Hearn or even Top Rank. So I think Tank gets left in the dark right now. I genuinely think he gets left in the dark because, one, he doesn't have a big social media pull. He's not crazy popular. Is he good? Yes. Is he just as good as those guys? 100%. But I think he gets left in the wings waiting. But the good thing about all that is he's going to let those guys beat up on each other.
Sure.
And then he's right there. So he can get the winner of any of those fighters. And that's kind of good for him. He gets to sit back. And Teofimo Devin Haney fight, the winner of that can fight the winner of Garcia and Pacquiao. The winner of that can fight Tank. So Tank kind of can be lost for maybe a year fighting guys that nobody really cares about. But otherwise, I think he's out for a little bit.
Well, here we go. So
we got more. We got the ticker. I see the ticker.
This is from a day ago. Devin Haney's Twitter account. Hold on. I got to watch an ad here, so let's ad lib a little bit. So off of this, from Devin Haney himself, he is stating that he keeps hearing people talk that him and Teofimo are in negotiations. That's not true. My team reached out, which Eddie Hearn reached out, and Bob wants to wait till they can have a live crowd.
Well, that could be this summer still.
It could be. But
they can have a live crowd if they go to Texas, Bob. Come on.
But the fact is that they're not in negotiations, and that's Devin Haney and Lopez, Teofimo Lopez.
That easily could be true. There's so much jockeying going on right now. And like you
thing.
said earlier, you're like, we don't know because it's social media. And these guys could 100% be BSing all of us.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, I'm telling you that Pacquiao, Garcia, they are talking. Whether De La Hoya said that or not, I think they're talking. Teofimo, Devin Haney, there's probably been a couple offers floated. But yeah, I can see Bob Arum saying that as well because he's not wrong. But Bob's also full of crap too because why would Bob fight Lomachenko and Teofimo with no live audience either?
Right.
So Bob's full of it. Bob most of the time is full of it.
So there's another name that might be left out in the cold waiting.
Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think Lomo though has more of a name than Gervonta. So even if Teofimo and Devin Haney up fighting, Lomachenko can fight anybody and it'll sell because he's Lomachenko. He's got a better name right now than a lot of those guys do. Even though Teofimo beat him, I still think Lomachenko's got a name, and I still think the division still kind of goes through him a little bit. I know it's crazy, and I know that I sound crazy because Teofimo beat him. He did. Teofimo beat him, but I feel like if they fought again, I would have to go with Lomachenko.
Yeah, we got to see how he looks now coming off and going back into training off of that shoulder surgery. So I guess time will tell. I don't necessarily think he may want one of those guys right out of the gate. Which
is to be perfect for him, though. That's why he's not really left in the cold because he's going to come back and fight somebody. While they're fighting, that'll be perfect. He'll probably try to fight it. He'll probably try to time that fight right around when they fight. That way he can have a tune-up, and then their time schedule. Remember how I told you they do that? Where if you see these guys fight within a couple weeks of each other, you know that they're possibly setting up that fight. So I bet it happens.
Come on, somebody. Somebody give us something. Somebody be the first shoe that drops.
But you know what it is, too? This is what I hate about promoters, even though I've turned into a promoter as well in my later boxing career. But the fighters... the promoters are making the fighters look bad. Like people are saying that Garcia's ducking Tank. Right. No, he's not. I promise you, every one of those fighters we named, I guarantee you set them in a room right now and they're looking at each other like, I want to fight you. Let's do it. Make it happen. It's the promoters muddying the waters. Also, trying to get the most money for each one of their fighters. So I get it. They are. They're trying to get them a lot of money. However, these guys want to fight. Let's make it happen. Like, you're right. Let's make it happen. And I don't think it's the fighters, but it does make the fighters look bad. Like, that's all I see people saying. As soon as Garcia signed with Pacquiao, everybody's like, oh, Ryan Garcia's ducking Tank. If Tank had the same opportunity to fight Manny Pacquiao, he would do it. Yeah, but it's a different day and age now, so you're going to get people saying everyone's ducking everybody because that's the troll world. That's how everyone trolls everybody. So I'm not too concerned about that. It's like Roger Mayweather said, his famous quote, most people don't know shit about boxing, and they don't. And you always get these armchair warriors trying to talk about boxing, and they're trolling these guys. And I'm like, I promise you, Ryan Garcia's not scared of anybody. When you get to this level, you're not scared of anybody. Doesn't mean you think you're going to kill everybody, beat everybody. It just means that you're not afraid. You've been in the ring with the best in the world. You're not afraid to fight anybody. Period. I've lost to the best in the world. I'm not afraid to fight them. They called me up tomorrow and said, you want to fight Keith Thurman again or you want to fight Terrence Crawford again? I'm going to say, let's do it.
That's why, I'm
going to say, let's do it.
That's why you guys, you're a fighter. You're a fighter. That's
none
what
of
you're
these guys
supposed
are scared.
to do.
Yeah,
No.
none of these guys are
No.
scared. They're not ducking them. That's the promoters doing it. They're not. The fighters, I promise you, are not ducking them.
So, anyways, that's where we stand on that, I guess. I mean, if it's new information or not, I'm not quite sure if we call it new information, but there's more wrinkles in this Ryan Garcia, Manny Pacquiao.
It keeps taking a turn.
Yeah, so we'll see how this week progresses. It's like as the weeks turn or as the days turn by. So I guess we shall see. What I know we had a bout last night. Probably didn't have major headlines with it with Caleb Plant.
Yep.
So no,
Sweet
he
hands,
fought.
Caleb Plant.
Sweet hands. So give me a quick rundown how that looked and how that worked out on Fox. It was PBC, correct?
PBC, yep.
Okay.
PBC on Fox. Yeah, it was Premier Boxing Champions, which is Al Heyman. So Sweet Hands fought Caleb Truex, who is a former world champion. Caleb Truex beat Daniel DeGale. I forget his first name, but it was DeGale. He beat him over in England. And a very formidable opponent. He's 37 years old now, and this was probably his last shot at a world title. I think he's had 3 shots. He won 1 world title, lost 2. So last night was a good fight. I mean, it was... Listen, I hear and see a lot of trolls that were trolling Caleb Plant. They're like, oh, he should have knocked him out. Oh, if that was Canelo would have knocked Truex out in 5 or 6 rounds. Listen, he didn't knock him out, but Caleb looked good. Caleb Plant looked good. He did what he was supposed to do. He beat an opponent. He beat every round. The scorecards were 120, 108. Literally 12 rounds to 0. And they're actually giving Caleb Plant flack for winning 12 rounds to 0. But that's also, I hope Caleb Plant realizes this too. That's when you know you've made it, bro.
Yeah.
When you win 12 rounds to 0 and they're still critiquing you
haters.
because they're expecting you to be great, which is good, though. That's a good expectation.
So, a guy that I've talked about before, because he's been impressive, though he hasn't really fought anybody. No offense to the people that he has fought. Edgar Berlanga.
I did.
Did you see that?
I saw
him then following up on that fight and calling him out a little bit. Let me read the quote. I usually don't hang out on Twitter, but let's read this for a second. So from Edgar Berlanga Jr.,
who's what, 15, 16-0, 16 knockouts,
yeah,
super middleweight,
first rounds only.
Yeah. That's right, 16 first round knockouts.
Yeah, so he's trying to make a name for himself. Obviously, here we go. That fight was cute. Let me know when you ready to get kissed by these fists. He sent that
Berlanga sent it to Caleb Plant.
Directly to Sweet Hands Plant. You know, that's how our world is now. It's the fight game it's different now than when you first got involved in it, obviously.
Definitely.
So you can do your own little bit of calling out. Back years ago when we first met, I saw a lot of that on Facebook, some of your opponents getting involved, and there was some jawing there. I'm like, this is what our world's come to. Now it's via Twitter.
Full on.
Now it's via random YouTube videos. It's all over Instagram, whatever else. So that's just the way these young cats are rolling.
It's part of the game now.
So what do you think there? What do you think if that could possibly... I think Edgar Berlanga is trying to create something that's not there.
Yeah. So listen, we've talked about him on the show a couple of times because he's fought a couple of times during COVID, and he was impressive. He knocked out his guys in the first round, but I understand what he's trying to do, but I just want to tell him that he does not want that smoke.
Yeah, not yet.
Because Sweet Hands will turn him sour real fast, because Caleb Plant would knock him out, okay? Edgar Berlanga is still very green.
Yes.
Can the guy punch? It seems like he can, but he hasn't knocked out anybody that we were like, oh my God, I can't believe he knocked this guy out. No, he's beat guys that he's supposed to beat, which is not even knocking, because that's how you build a career. It's fine, but he's jumping the gun a little bit here because he's a good couple of years away from even testing those waters, but good for him, creating a little bit of a buzz, because guess what? We're talking about it now.
Yeah.
So I'm not hating on him for that at all. I'm like, good for you.
The blueprint's there. The blueprint, it's 2021. This is the blueprint. These guys talk themselves into the picture. They have to back it up too, but they've talked themselves. I don't even say talk. They've talked on social media to get themselves in the picture. That's the trash talking these days, though. And they have talent. Don't get me wrong. All these guys have talent. They all work their way up through the amateurs for the most part. So they have some legacy. But I remember back months ago, Teofimo talked his way into a similar situation. Now he has the talent. He's backing it up. But he talked his way into it as well. And now look at him. 15-0 or something too, I think. Exactly.
Right around the Berlanga.
And now look at him.
But I mean, I think that Teofimo's boxing level and skill
much better,
way better.
Yeah.
I mean, but to be fair to Berlanga, he hasn't been able to show us much because he ends it in one round.
That's true.
So maybe he's got the same skill. We just don't see it because he goes for the kill and he smells blood and he takes it. So good for him for finishing. So like, he's doing all of the right things right now.
Yeah.
If you had a playbook on what to do, knock a guy out in the first round 15 times, he's done that.
Yep.
Now make some noise by calling some big time fighters out that everybody knows you're BSing because you really don't want that smoke because you're going to get beat. Yeah. But good for him by putting it out there. That's the playbook. He's got it down right now. So we'll see what happens next.
He ain't making mention after a Canelo win.
Yeah, no.
I don't know who actually wants that at this point. So
the money though, the money's
Canelo
really good.
Alvarez, he has some stuff coming up, and part of me is like, oh, cool, we know the next couple.
Yeah.
But another part of me is like, come on, man, let's talk about the first one, the next one. Let's not get ahead of ourselves either.
Yeah. That's, you know what? That's why there is a recipe for disaster when things like that happen. Okay, because Canelo's fighting at the end of February down in Florida, actually South Florida, against his number one contender. I forget the guy's name. He's an undefeated younger guy from, I think, Europe, Eastern European, something like that. It's a hard name to pronounce, but Salim, Arim, I don't know, something like that. He's fighting that guy, but then they just finalized the deal to fight in May against Billy Joe Saunders, which that's a great fight, and that's a fight that I've actually wanted to see for a while. Matter of fact, that was a fight we were talking about with the guys from England, Luke Campbell's camp. We were talking about that fight. He's fighting, Avani Yildirim. Yeah, so it's his mandatory super middleweight title, so he's fighting this guy, and I don't know. But again, like I said, this guy's undefeated, so the guy can fight. Obviously, I just hope, and Canelo's proved me many years over that he is professional and he shows up to every fight ready, no matter who it is.
Sure.
I've never seen. That's one guy that you don't see. I've never seen I've never seen Canelo Alvarez sleep on anybody. Every single fight, even when they're not big time fights, he shows up. So I see him showing up and beating this guy like he's supposed to. And then seeing a big dude, Billy Joe Saunders is a big fight. Mm-hmm. It's a fight that I said a couple of years ago.
Well, we talked. I think you mentioned it a few months ago.
Yeah, and it's a fight that personally, like Canelo's. I've become a huge Canelo advocate, huge Canelo fan because he's earned that right the past couple of years with me on people who he's fought and how he's beaten them. He's earned that respect with me for sure. But I think a guy like Billy Joe Saunders poses a major threat to Canelo because of his style.
He is going to fight twice before Terrence Crawford fights once.
I know.
So going back to a few weeks ago on this podcast, I can't remember which episode it was. If it was 27, 28, wherever it was. You had mentioned, listen, a lot of it depends on the next fights. Does this then cause you to have in your list, pound for pound, Canelo Alvarez hop over Terrence Crawford?
Yeah, I said if Terrence Crawford didn't fight in the next 4 to 6 months, that I would have to leapfrog Canelo in front of Terrence Crawford. And honestly, I might have to do it anyway, before that, because the fact that Canelo is fighting twice, he just fought.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to be 3 times. Yeah, 2021.
Yeah.
Wait, no, his fight was December.
Yeah, it was in 2020.
But within still, 6 months,
you don't see top elite level fighters like his caliber fight that many times.
No.
So props again. This is why I'm a huge Canelo fan now. Yeah. You're how could you not be? It's massive respect to him, and I think that the fact that he's fighting twice, B Money is we got to give him credit for that. It's got to be if I see this guy that he's fighting and it's a pretty credible opponent, and he knocks this guy or something spectacular, I think without a single doubt I have to be you know what, I got to update my pound for pound rankings. And then I'll tell you this: if I leapfrog Canelo in front of Terrence Crawford, right, I will put this caveat out there: the only how Canelo loses that number 1 pound for pound spot with me is if Terrence Crawford fights Errol Spence and beats Errol Spence. So I'll leave that door open. Okay, I think in the next couple of months, pending how Canelo looks, pending any kind of announcement for Terrence Crawford, if he doesn't announce any kind of a big fight in the next couple of months, honestly, get on it. Come on, Bob. You know what, Bob Arum? He needs to quit dicking around with this Teofimo Lopez and all of those guys and actually get to what we want to see, and that's Terrence Crawford. That's who's the pound-for-pound number 1 fighter in the world on a lot of people's lists. Quit messing around, Bob. You're ruining this guy's pound-for-pound rankings. You're ruining his stardom. You're ruining everything that is good about Terrence Crawford, because that guy, in my opinion too, he's like a Canelo. He's old school, meaning I genuinely believe Terrence Crawford would fight anybody, and I think he would fight him for free if you let him put him in the streets. And Bob Arum's holding him up.
I think once he's out of that contract, he will.
Yeah.
I think it's only a matter of time before we see Terrence Crawford part ways. We've talked about that before in another episode. It's going to happen. And then at that point, he can write his own ticket. And that's what we're seeing with Canelo. Yeah. We mentioned it last week. It's kind of funny. Canelo parted ways with DAZN, and then his next 2 fights, or his last fight and this next coming fight, are on the DAZN platform.
Yeah, no, it's really funny.
But that says a lot about the business side of it. Listen, there's no hard feelings there. He's betting on himself. He's betting on himself there.
Good for him.
And he wants to fight. And I think Terrence Crawford is the same way, but he is stuck right now. He's shackled by that contract. Yep. And at some point, it's gonna be done by the end of the year, I think, is what you mentioned.
His contract does expire towards the end of the year. If it's September or October, I forget, but it's towards the end of the year. But the one thing that Canelo has over Terrence Crawford, though, is Canelo has always had that Mexican fan base. And that Mexican fan base always supports its fighters.
Doesn't have near
that. He doesn't. But when he fights in Omaha, though, which is where he's from, the dude pulls 15,000 people, which is phenomenal. But when he fights, in another state, East Coast, West Coast. He doesn't pull those kind of numbers because it's who he is. He still pulls decent numbers, though. That's why he's still getting big fights, because he does pull decent numbers, but he doesn't have the backing that Canelo does. And that's because, we talked about this many times, Americans really don't back their athletes. Not just boxing, most sports. You don't really see them back their athletes. I mean, it's England, they back their boxers. They will travel to see their boxers. Americans, we're just like, you're good. We'll root for you, but we're not going to go out of the way to root for you and travel. Like, I remember when Ricky Hatton fought in Las Vegas. I think Las Vegas, where they fought MGM Grand when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Ricky Hatton literally brought over like 10,000 fans. Or it was like 4,000, because MGM only holds 15,000 people, 15 or 16,000. And he literally brought over like 4,000 of his own fans from England just to see him. That whole place, it felt like it was Ricky Hatton's home. Even though Mayweather lives in Vegas, trains out of Vegas, fought in Vegas against Ricky Hatton, if you'd have heard the crowd, they were chanting, "There's only one Ricky," the whole stadium. And Mayweather's an American. He's literally the best of his era, and they were rooting for the other guy. But that's just the way, and it's not just Mayweather, because I know a lot of people are like, Mayweather's a piece of crap, whatever. But they do that with a lot of our athletes, not just Mayweather.
And we've talked about it, though. Terrence Crawford's been mishandled. He has all the talent. I mean, listen, I was looking up some things, because say what you will about a guy like Max Kellerman, I think he's an idiot when it comes to other sports, like football and everything else. I think Max Kellerman on ESPN is an idiot. But when it comes to his boxing coverage, because that's kind of what he knows best. Yeah. I'd say 85% of the time he knows what he's talking. He talks about it right.
I'd say yeah.
And he's behind, like, he wants that same thing. Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. But is it going to happen? Bob Arum's standing in the way because he sees the bright shiny toy, right, of Lopez, of Teofimo, and wants to work with that. Instead, he has arguably the pound for pound fighter of the world, best fighter in the world, and he's just pissing it away.
And all he's complaining about, I heard Bob Arum was like, "I lose money every time Terrence fights." Well, then do a better job.
Promote it. That's his job. That's his team's job.
It's literally his only job. And
it's insane.
We've talked about it. I don't think Terrence Crawford works the social media as good as most other guys, but if you do look at he's getting a big following now. It's slowly getting better, but that dude is crazy charismatic. He's a good dude, takes care of his family. He's got kids, loves his kids, is always going to his kids' events. The guy loves his hometown. He never got rich and left. He put a gym there. Like, the guy's got a great story, but if you're not able to tell that story to the world, how will they know?
Yeah, so I would say from that end, that part's on him. He does need, especially, we just talked about it 10, 15 minutes ago, this is the world it is now for sports, boxing is particularly. These guys, the blueprint's there. The blueprint is there. You have to be able to talk your own game as well. No one else is going to do it for you.
You just don't want to hear about it, but look at Terrence Crawford's Twitter. He's constantly active. Like,
that, or on Instagram, he's a gym rat, but it's not. We got to see a little bit of that spice, though, too. We got to see a little bit of that nastiness.
Did you know you're going to be even more of a fan of him, but he's a big Green Bay Packers fan.
Oh, I know that.
Huge Green Bay Packers fan.
I've
look at this. 3 days ago, speaking of Terrence Crawford.
I have a gaping wound still from that. Thanks.
3 days ago, Terrence Crawford quotes Errol Spence and says, "One name they're going to remember is Errol Spence ducking Terrence Crawford. That's going to stay with you for a lifetime. You still good, though." They're going back and forth.
But yes, they're trying to. So I'll give them that. But here's
tweeted,
the thing. You could say stuff like that.
That's pretty good.
But let's be fair. Errol Spence is the guy that had the car wreck that knocked him out for about a year.
Yeah.
Terrence Crawford did not.
True.
Okay.
But he came back.
Everyone dealt with COVID.
Errol's healthy. Errol's healthy now, though.
Yeah, exactly.
After that fight, he's healthy.
That fight needs to happen. And those two guys, they are responsible for making it happen. Unfortunately, they both have to be on the mic. They both have to be on social media. They have to push that fight to happen, because the people handling them aren't, well, maybe Errol Spence's side might not want that. But Bob Arum is definitely not doing anything that we're aware of.
No. I think Bob Arum's going to try to stall this out until Terrence Crawford leaves, because Bob doesn't want to pay the money for the fight. That's the whole kicker of it all. And it's promoter BS, and Bob Arum's done it, and people could say what he's done is worked, and it has for him. He's made a lot of money. He's had a lot of great fighters for him.
Yeah.
But like we said, all of the great fighters have left.
Yeah.
All of the fighters were good with him. They left to go be great. So, you know what? We got to champion Bob Arum a little bit because he's produced a lot of great fighters because after they left him, they became great. And that's been good for us as fans.
We talk blueprint. That's his blueprint.
And it's worked for him. And
He's gonna piss off boxing fans and Terrence Crawford alike enough. We're calling it right now. The writing's on the wall. He's gone. He's gone. He's going to do his own thing or whatever promotion company, whatever it is. He's gone.
But you know what, though? Hopefully Bob lets him go, and hopefully Bob doesn't try to do something like, hey, I'm going to make this Errol Spence fight, but I'm going to need you to sign an extension with me. I can see some writing on the wall. Bob Arum's, as much crap as we give him, he's not stupid. He knows what he's doing, but I could see Bob Arum dangling something like that because he did like something like that with Pacquiao as well. So and it's a smart move if you want to keep the guy.
Listen, in any business, if you've been doing it for as long as he's been doing it, you know a thing or two.
He's doing something.
He's not
right.
stupid. I mean, I get it. We might not agree with his tactics, and we might think that he's wasting potential and opportunity and whatnot. But he's like, yeah, but this is what I do, and there's always new fighters coming up.
It's our job to call him out too because we can call. This is our job literally to call him out for what he's doing.
They know what they're extremely good at is farming these guys up from the amateurs through those first few years of the career. They've obviously proven that. That's their blueprint.
Yep.
And very smart because, ride a guy while he's perfect or while he's the best, and then
cut him loose,
spin him out, cut him loose, and let his fate be up to him.
Yeah, because they don't see. That's the thing. We don't hear about the stories of the guys that do leave Bob and fall flat on their face.
Bingo.
We don't hear those stories.
That's absolutely correct.
We just hear the big ones like De La Hoya, Mayweather, Pacquiao. We hear those, but that's really all we hear about. There's other guys that left him.
There's other could have been
fell on their face.
Could have been.
You're right. So
yeah,
we only see the extreme where it worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's probably a lot that don't. So yes, good for Bob Arum. Bob Arum, he cuts his losses when his risk and his reward. Bob Arum's a risk reward guy. He's just like, you know what? It's too big of a risk, too much money to throw out there, and I've already made enough. I don't need to gamble anymore. So, and I get it actually. It makes sense now if you think about it. I know a couple older successful business guys that told me the same thing. They're just like, I'm set where I'm at. I'm very successful where I'm at. I don't take big chances anymore because I don't need to.
No.
So Bob is the same way. It makes sense. Bob's like, you know what? I've made a little bit of money off Terrence Crawford. I'm not going to go on the whole $10 million to pay him to fight Errol Spence and hope and pray that I get it back. So he's like, you know what? We've made a little bit of money. I've paid him a little bit of money. I'm going to cut my losses.
On to the next.
The risk is too big for him in his opinion, and he could be right. We don't know.
It just sucks for the fans and Terrence Crawford for that matter because these are wasted months and years that he's not going to get back.
Crawford's 30.
He's not going to get back, and this is a
Over
critical
30.
time frame right now. Not everyone's body is built like a Pacquiao. He can go to 42 and keep doing it, or Hopkins or any of these guys.
50.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a machine. That's different. Not all these guys can do that.
Alien.
So, I mean, it is what it is at a certain point when it comes to that. Hopefully something develops by year end. Because, frankly, I know I could see it stewing within you. You want to keep Terrence Crawford as your number one pound for pound. You want to. You have an emotional tie to it as well. You know what,
though? But I'm honest, and I will literally, that's when I've gotten good about my picks that I make, is I make unemotional picks.
Yep.
And I can 100% make an unemotional pound for pound list again.
Yeah, you
taking
can.
them out. I 100% will, and I've said it, and I can't go back on my word because I've said it on the show that if he doesn't fight somebody in the next 4 to 6 months, and Canelo's fighting twice, so and we didn't know that when I said that. Now I have to be like.
And one of the fights is the fight we were talking with those guys from Luke's camp. We were talking about
McGuigan, Barry McGuigan, and them,
yeah. So yes, I would say one of the ways to describe you would be definitely honest. And so from my standpoint, I'm going to honestly ask you right now, where in the hell is the Weekend Trav attire?
Gosh dang it. I've been just a little busy.
Okay.
So Weekend Trav didn't get around to ordering the shirt. So that's why I'm just wearing the old Lacoste. So yeah. Thanks for calling me out. I thought I made it through the whole show and you didn't say a word.
I'm the producer.
I really thought, I was like, I think I'm gonna get away with this.
I'm the producer. What you guys don't know is behind the scenes of what we do. I'm constantly calling him out on things. I'm like, hey, where's my video for this? Where's this? Where's this? I'm texting him. I'm calling him. He's busy though. To Weekend Trav's credit, all week long. He is grinding so hard. We talk about this. In his gym, he has clients all day long, and so he has a limited amount of hours. Plus, he's trying to be a good fiance the whole time to Irina.
I gotta live a personal life as well.
Yeah. So,
but I could do better. I can do better.
No, well, yes. I
can admit that.
But I know how to push properly.
You do. You're a good producer.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wasn't me fishing, but
you don't have to fish when it's true. You're a good producer.
We want to not only entertain, but we want to put good content out there. And I like doing this kind of stuff. I like doing the stuff with, like, my kids have stuff going on too on the
you're constantly
videos,
doing stuff.
And I do stuff for myself. It's just fun for me. It's fun for that, and I even work doing that for my. But
also, to be fair, your sake too, you're busy as crap all day too. So that's why I'm trying to make it no excuse. You're just as busy too.
But the difference, I have no pastimes anymore. You like golfing, you like doing all this stuff. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I just, first of all, golf, I suck. So
it's probably a good thing.
And I tried. Well, I tried with the lessons and stuff, and it just never worked out. Like, I tried for years, and I couldn't get any better.
I just like it.
Yeah, I know. So I went to, forgot to mention this to you. I went to Topgolf the other day.
You went to Topgolf and you didn't tell me?
Like a week ago. Well, it was a business deal.
I'm hurt.
And so I went to, there's one by my office up in Lake Mary. They just opened that one. So I met a couple guys there to go do Topgolf. First time in like 6 or 7 years I've even struck a ball.
How was it?
It was fun. And first of all, I was like striking the ball really good.
I feel like you do strike the ball really good.
Well, when I actually strike it accurately.
I was talking about something else, but go ahead. You actually bit right into that too. You're like, well, I do.
So if you guys have noticed, if you're still listening, if you noticed, I think we went PG-13 a little bit.
Yeah.
I heard. I
did the Roger Mayweather quote.
Yeah.
That was not PG-13.
There was some hell. There was some all sorts of stuff.
We're tiptoeing the line.
Well, it's 2021. I feel like you have to push the envelope.
I think we are.
I think
definitely we are.
So anyway, no. So
tell me about your ball striking, though. I want to hear about your ball striking.
Well, it was when I struck the ball correctly.
There were white balls as well, right?
It was very smooth. Very smooth stroke.
I don't know how you want me to put up with that.
My point is, we should go do that.
I'm down. Drive Shack is right here.
Yeah. They finally opened again.
They've been open for a bit.
Not that long, a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we should do that. That'll be a good vlog.
100%. Now I get to watch you stroke balls in person.
Well, then I get to watch you stroke balls in person, too.
I'm a good ball stroker, too. I stroke the heck out of the ball.
What is going on right now? Okay, so...
All right, that's... We're
do we have any more boxing stuff to talk about?
No, boxing schedule is awesome. It's heated up. We still don't have a Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua date, but it's going to happen in the first half of the year for sure. We have a bunch of fights. We have a bunch of great fights already lined up for the first half of the year.
Here's what worries me on, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but the heavyweight division. When that fight's done, then what?
A rematch. There's a rematch clause.
Okay. So yeah. Well, once you
and then you have Deontay Wilder coming back now, and he's getting ready to fight. Who did they say he was fighting? I forgot the name, but I'm pretty sure he's scheduled to fight somebody. So who knows? Maybe he can make a comeback. But
is anyone interested in that?
No. But to be fair, I think he fares a better chance against Anthony Joshua than he does against Fury because of his power. And Anthony Joshua has been dropped multiple times, so he's and knocked out.
Fury's in his head now, and plus I think Fury's body frame is just weird. It's
not good for Wilder.
It's a long-reaching body frame, so I think it's tough for anybody in the heavyweight division.
But
is anyone interested in Deontay Wilder?
No, and that's another guy who just kind of flew under the radar, was very, very dominant heavyweight, but just never really caught people's eye because,
he's a knockout artist.
But he had no finesse. It was just like he either knocked you out or was ugly, and he windmill knocks you out.
I may have shown it to you like weeks ago. The last time I saw him working out? Did you see that footage? It looked like he was working out at I go to a Crunch Fitness. It looked like he was working out with his trainer in a Crunch Fitness, and it was the most awkward drill.
Dear, I didn't see it.
I didn't see it. All these trolls were commenting. I'm like, this was the heavyweight champ of the world.
The undefeated heavyweight champion of the world.
I'm sorry, but no one's interested in him right now.
I know. You know what? It's because he can't take a loss like a man. He's made some nice uses.
Go beyond those two that we're going to fight twice in a row now.
Mm-hmm.
Go beyond those two. Who else is there?
There's some up-and-comers, but yeah, nobody that really grabs the headlines.
No.
But you're good for a year, though. Somebody can make a name in that year because that
Very
fight's
true.
it's going to take a year. Those guys are going to fight, and it's going to be about a year before they're done with the second
I'm
one.
excited
and
about...
who knows, B-Money? We could get a trilogy. You can't say there's just one or two.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
Let's say Tyson Fury wins the first one. They rematch, and Joshua wins the second one. There's going to be a third. If that happens.
Rubber match?
It's going to
That's the proper terminology.
The fact that you jumped all over that's really...
What?
worrisome to me right now.
Rubber?
We're talking about stroking balls. We're talking about rubber mat. Like, I'm a little worried now.
Why?
Because Irina's gone. Now we're here by ourselves. And you're saying this on our pod.
This is for the thumbnail.
We're about to cut off right now. We're about to cut off right now. Wait.
Okay, I gotta find that for the thumbnail.
Oh my.
There's a lot that goes into the production.
Oh dear Lord, baby Jesus.
There's a lot that goes into the production value of what we do. People don't understand.
You have to pick the thumbnail, the perfect thumbnail.
Which we only have the one camera angle today, so it'll be a little easier. But okay, so the train has left the station. It's off the tracks. Boxing's back.
It's back.
Okay,
and it's going to be really good the first half of the year. It ended with a bang with Canelo, Garcia, all those guys. It's going to start with a bang too, and
with Canelo and all those other guys.
Yes, and you know what? That's funny, but it's true. But that's why also, more so now than ever, Terrence Crawford has to get his butt out there because these guys are carrying boxing. They're taking the limelight away because if Terrence Crawford waits too long, honest to God, people are going to be like, so what?
Exactly.
We don't want to see you fight.
Exactly.
So what? So what? Unless you fight at Errol Spence. So literally, he's narrowing his chances right now because if he waits too long, it's going to be like Errol Spence or bust.
Well, let's wrap up the boxing conversation. If it's not Errol Spence, then who? That's my question to you.
I mean, I would watch a Danny Garcia, Terrence Crawford, but I don't think it happens because Danny Garcia is with Al Heyman. So, and then you talk about Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman's also with Al Heyman. So Crawford's chances are just limited. I don't really know who he goes after for us to care. Because all those guys I just named are the ones, and Sean Porter as well. If he fights a Sean Porter, which is, I don't want to see that fight, but that's a top fight.
But we'll watch.
Yeah, 100%. But I don't think that's going to happen either because Bob Arum is offering crap money for these fighters, and they're not going to take it. Like, Sean Porter is not going to fight Terrence Crawford for $1 million. He's just not. The guy's worth a lot more than that, and he knows that. So Bob Arum knows that too. He's offering cheap money for these guys, and he's screwing Terrence Crawford right now. And Terrence Crawford, at the end of the day, the onus kind of falls back on you. It's your career. It's your legacy. It's not Bob Arum's. It's your legacy. You're going to have to do something. You're going to have to figure this out.
Yep.
Go out on your own and just outright start calling these guys out. Like, tackle them. Go into their gym and call them out. Say, I want to fight you. Make it happen. I mean, you're just going to have to take extreme measures.
I want to see one of these guys show up to the other guy's facility.
Like some Clubber Lang stuff.
Crew. Bingo. That's what we want to see. We're fans as well. We want to see this.
That's why we watch the Rocky movies, for that entertainment value of Clubber Lang going and calling out Rocky in his gym.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the whole concept of Clubber Lang would not exist. He only had a trainer, and then he was just by himself. Come on, that doesn't.
He was a madman.
But either way, it's Mr. T. Come on, man. Pity the fool.
I pity the fool.
So that's boxing.
So boxing's heating up. It's awesome. It's exciting, and I'm glad that we're on board for it.
Me too.
We're gonna. I'm telling you, it's not out of the question that Weekend Trav might go to that Canelo fight in February.
It's in Miami, so yeah, why not?
It's a possibility, and that's a good one. So as long as nothing's going on up here, I would definitely make a trip down there for that.
Yeah. So when is that?
February 27th.
Okay, so maybe it's maybe we're both down there. We'll see. So the next couple weeks.
Thank you for going later.
Oh boy, that put me.
I'm gonna give you a couple weeks. And then I'll finally start putting the pressure on. Okay. Once I know I can go, then I'll put the pressure on.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So your world is going to change over time too, or you have to follow my rules. Okay? Follow my example here, the domestic rules of engagement.
You're a good example for me.
That's neat. I'm going to domestic.
This is the producer's notes
of engagement.
The wife is going to love this when she goes home.
She has to actually watch and listen to our stuff. So
anyway. She does comment on it though sometimes.
Yeah, well, she's just trying to help the algorithm, but when you only watch for 45 seconds,
appreciate you, Amber.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. I know that she's not listening now because it's the end of the thing. She's already turned it off, but still, thank you, Ember.
Yeah, thanks. So, domestic rules of engagement, you're learning. So we're here at the end of the episode. The next couple weeks are going to be a little different. I know I'll be in Tennessee next weekend, so we're going to do the whole Zoom thing. I believe it's Super Bowl weekend.
Sounds good.
You're going to be in Tampa.
Yeah, so it might be a fun Zoom,
We might be recording on a Friday or a Monday or whatever.
or just weekend. Trav's gonna be tailgating.
Oh, good Lord. We can't record that for 45 minutes.
That'd be fun.
The wheels are going to fall off. So you'll be watching football and I'll be playing football this coming weekend. So closing thoughts. I'm not sure from a time standpoint where we are, and I don't really care. So give me some closing thoughts, weekend Trav.
Closing thoughts. This is going to be for our headline, which is going to give us the most views we've ever gotten.
Ever.
I am going to say that Canelo Alvarez gets knocked out by Billy Joe Saunders. Just kidding. But I need you to put that in the headline. Canelo Alvarez gets knocked out. ... That's the headline. That's going to catch people's eye. And they'll at least click for 5 seconds. Enough for us to have a view. And I actually said it on the podcast. It's going to work. Watch. You called our most viewed one last time, and it was. I'm going to call the most viewed one this time.
I mean, it hasn't been the most viewed yet.
We had one that was like
there.
crazy, like 300.
Yeah, we had the one that it was like over 4. I mean,
out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere for no reason. I even
gave
watched
us-
the
it gave us
episode.
a
I'm
little
like,
bit-
this isn't that great. I mean,
It gave
this
us
is
a
a
little bit
normal
of-
thing.
Gave us a little bit of like, oh yeah, we're doing something good.
It's kind of like, well, we bring up golf again. You hit that one shot that brings you back.
It does. That's actually 100% correct.
And then,
golf is like
then
that.
30 people watch the next episode rather than 500 or whatever.
Yep. We had tens of dollars.
That's okay. Listen,
You know what? Our subscribers have went up every single week.
Every
Even
week.
if it's a little bit at a time, it's gone up.
As I've said, once this becomes a chore, then we have to have some conversations. So far, I enjoy this. This is an outlet for me, and it's an outlet for you, and
This
I
is like
enjoy
going to
doing
the
this
bar.
anyways. And the tens of people that are following, that person walking their kid over there across the street outside, they love watching this. I don't know if they do. Anyways, so
They better. Or I will go track them down right now.
Okay.
Get in their face.
Okay.
And scream at them. I can't punch them yet
Why?
because we're talking. Like, what if I punch them and then we get in trouble? Do we have insurance to cover that or no? Or we're not there yet.
We're not we don't have an LLC.
Okay,
This
well, listen.
operation is really
as soon
raw.
as soon as we get, as soon as we, you're just throwing out little trigger words for me. Little trigger words. As soon as we get insurance, I'm going and punching somebody for not watching our show.
Well, now we can't get the insurance because they're going to review this episode and be like, wait, he said that he's going to punch somebody.
Good. Then it was worth that one view extra that we're going to get for that. So I'm trying to pull them all in.
Listen, watch this as much as possible. View it as many minutes as possible. View it again in a week, in a day.
Yeah. How does that work? Because usually
I
it's
don't
like,
know.
I don't know.
I almost said the bad word. I didn't.
Woo! Nobody's dropped the F-bomb yet.
It's like the movie Christmas Story, and the kid, he says fudge, but I didn't say fudge. Whatever.
We're men.
Well, yeah.
What are we?
We're
What,
men.
what's the? What are we?
What's the Anchorman quote?
Which? There's a bunch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I have a brain
I was thinking
twice
of
the
the.
size of a female. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
yeah.
I don't really have that.
Yeah, I was saying we're the best. What is it? Beard, bourbon, and boxing
Yeah.
podcast in
Yeah.
Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
We got to hold up that standard.
We are the #1 beards, bourbon, and boxing podcast filmed in Orlando on a Sunday evening
This is perfect.
in Laureate Park.
It's even better.
This is #1.
Of
It's
Lake
close
Nona,
#1.
by
Close
the
#1.
airport. I mean, it's got to be number 100%. Nobody's beating us.
Yeah.
We're one of one, but we're still
I'd
we're
say
number one.
#1, no matter what.
Number one.
Oh, and then by the way, so I was mentioning our schedule the next couple of weeks is kind of
Yes, sir.
going to be kind of weird.
Yes, sir.
So the Super Bowl weekend, yeah, a little sketchy, but we're going to get it done. And then the following week, maybe the week after, I think we're going on the road.
Ooh, okay, yes. I'm down. I'm all for it.
So I'm pretty sure we need to go out west.
We're going to go to Hagen O'Reilly's.
I think we need to check with the boys out there.
Oh, there will.
They got some good stuff going on out
Luis, Frankie, we coming, bros. We
there. Yeah,
coming.
Frank the Tank, we're there.
We coming. Frank the Tank. Bring your green hat.
Boom. So, anyways.
Tastes so good once it touches the lips.
Wow.
Sorry.
And this is the fall off the...
This is when the end of the show happens. We have to cut it off.
I just don't think I'm drinking enough recently because this is my second one and I already feel like hell.
We're having fun. Oh, I look like hell, Audrey.
Yeah.
That's all I thought about when you said that.
I know you're waiting for me to close this out. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, I know. I'm sitting here. I'm just like, is he going to close this out? Because the producer pretty much calls the shots right now. But I'm just drinking and talking because
we're trying to get through. We didn't rate an actual bourbon because we're trying to get through some of the bottles here. We didn't get a different
because
one.
I keep the ones that we don't finish, and I have a nice little bar working over there.
What did we start with tonight?
We started with Freedom. It's actually called Freedom.
Okay, so we had Freedom, and then we finished off the Elijah Craig. I'm sorry, purists. We didn't rinse the glass. No new glass, no new ice. I just poured it on top. I don't care right now. So we just we're topping that off, and then when we do post-production, I'm sure we'll have something different.
Yep. We'll have a third different bourbon or whiskey.
Why not? Who cares? So, fine. I will wrap it up.
That's what he said.
He would
say that. He would. Fine, I'll wrap it up. That actually works.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that. Listen, I've been out of the game for a while here. I've been married for a long time.
And so, okay, that's actually fair as well.
Yeah.
But still.
I mean, before that, I was pure beyond belief. Anyway, so we're going to actually tie this up.
We better tie it up after that one.
Into a bow.
They thought we were honest until that.
Into a bow. I'll just drip some. Thank you to our media sponsors. Not sponsors, media partners. TH Boxing, Gulfstream Financial, and IF Enterprises. As always, thank you for the media support. Location, lights, camera, all that good stuff.
Lights, camera, action.
Weekend Trav gave his final thoughts. My final thoughts, I don't have any.
That's impressive.
I don't have any.
That's amazing.
Is it?
No.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm just going to keep them to myself.
I think we went a whole show without talking about a couple things that we usually talk about.
What's that?
I want to bring it up because we went the whole show without it.
No big C.
Stop it.
No big C, no politics.
Exactly.
That's great. This is a boxing podcast.
We did awesome.
Because what are you going to talk about with politics?
It's a boxing podcast, but it's called Weighing In, and we could have weighed in on that stuff. But we didn't. We chose to rise above it. Because when they go high... Oh, wait. When they go low, we go high. Why didn't you make this end like 5 minutes ago?
So we have that analogy. We have the rubber match. We have the stroking balls. What else do we have?
I don't know. A lot.
Oh, my gosh. Are you guys still watching? Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe below. That's it. God bless. Can I even say that after this?
Yeah, because we need God right now.
We do.
Y'all mother need God.
Weekend Trav, B Money. That there is Weekend Trav.
That there is B Money.
Gosh, we're just done.
It's just what? Just throw the towel in.